All right. Welcome back to the Speak Your Piece podcast. My name is Ian McNaughton, Big E here. Pleased to welcome back SYP creator Scotty K. Scott, welcome back to the pod. How's it going?
Things are good, man. It's a busy life, but things are good. Trade deadline's over. March Madness is mad. It's a good time, right? March
That
Madness is
no,
mad this year.
no. I'm telling you right now, that doesn't work.
No,
Um,
sorry.
you could scrap that. Scott and I were chatting before, and I was working on my material, which apparently wasn't good. So I'm telling Scott now on the pod that his material is not. We both have work to do if we're trying to get Netflix specials, I guess is what we're trying to say.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But this is why we do podcasts. We're not comedians.
We try to be.
I mean, I think my humor is like a C or C plus. Like on the grand scheme of everything, it's like a C plus humor. I think is what I have, which is like an American D,
Like
but like
a soft C plus, basically, is what you're saying.
yeah. That you could actually describe that as just me in general. I'm like a soft C plus. I feel like is like a good way to describe me.
You know what they say: C's get degrees, so means you're getting a degree. So
That's all I'm looking for.
there you go.
I think the first thing before we really get too deep into shenanigans, we're doing this podcast, I guess about an hour after the Ottawa Senators announced the death of team owner Eugene Melnyk. Weird timing.
Yeah.
Obviously, you don't expect anybody to ever die, I guess, but 61 years old. He was the owner of the Ottawa Senators from 2003, I believe, until 2022. Scott, what are your thoughts on just Eugene Melnyk and the instant reaction when seeing this?
Honestly, I was like, at first thought I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I thought I actually thought it was a joke. Like I thought maybe TSN like fucked up, but now it's gotten everywhere. Like, yeah, it's sad. And he was, I think he's 61 or 62. He's young for, again, average life expectancy is 81 years in Canada. That's very young. And again, in a field where, like, obviously hockey players are athletes, so often like upper management staff will, like, train and work out too, because they have the facilities and the means to do it. But yeah, just very, I don't know the details of his death, what happened, but very shitty and sad for everyone involved in NHL. And again, Eugene Melnyk has been an owner in this league for 20 years, which is, I think, on the longer end of a lot of owners in the NHL. So props to him for staying that long, but also a very sad situation in Ottawa for sure.
On the Senators website, they said that he passed on March 28th, 2022, after an illness he faced with determination and courage. So obviously, we don't know for sure what that is. I'm sure they probably don't want to release any information now. It's still probably way too early in terms of releasing information. I'll admit I've been my fair share of I've taken my fair share of shots at Eugene Melnyk as an owner and as somebody who ran an NHL franchise. But I do think there is something to be said for his contributions to hockey in Ottawa, to the Senators organization, and probably just to the city of Ottawa with the charitable donations he's made to it says on here St. Joseph's Health Center to help the children, St. Michael's College School in Toronto. There's been some significant contributions made there, but it's kind of a mixed legacy that, in my opinion, he's leaving behind.
Yeah.
Obviously I feel nothing but I wish nothing but condolences and best of luck to the family and friends who are being left by him. But I don't know how you feel about Eugene as an owner. That's how I mostly know him as, is the owner of the Ottawa Senators. And
again, let's just say the facts here. From 2003 until 2022, the Ottawa Senators overall have been a pretty good team, except for the last few years, like recently not so much, but from like 2004 until 2018-ish, they were a pretty solid team. They had some good players, and they went to the Stanley Cup final in '07, and almost probably should have gone in 2017 as well. And again, a big part of franchise and an organization is the owner willing to spend the money to bring the players in. And Eugene Melnyk did that. Signed Erik Karlsson big, signed brought in Spezza and Alfredson. These are guys who are already there. But point being that he was instrumental in making sure this happened, making sure the money was there for the GM to go sign the players. And yeah, it's, again, you talked about his contributions outside of like in the hockey realm, but also outside in the community. I think it's really, it is a mixed thing, because there were some controversial things he did and said, and how he handled the media sometimes was questionable. Yeah, but again, his contributions to hockey are profound nonetheless, and that's the thing I think people are going to miss. And his impact on the community was so huge in Ottawa and in Ontario and Canada as a whole, for that matter.
So yeah, and they had the run to the Cup in 2007. They were in the conference finals in 2017. Some success, not as much as probably others would like in a 20-year process, but for a small market team like the Senators, you could argue that they overachieved in a way with the core guys that you mentioned, like Spezza and Alfredson, and then in the next core of Erik Karlsson. Yeah, it's disappointing. It's too bad that he had to go at such a young age, and obviously, hopefully he didn't die, struggling, or hopefully he went peacefully, I guess is what I'm trying to say. There's no easy way about going about this, and obviously it's too early to tell while we're recording right now what the Senators are going to do as a franchise and what their next step is. They're probably still going to be mourning and getting over the loss of their longtime owner. Again, wishing nothing but the best to those who are impacted by this. You saw there are some players on Instagram on the Senators who shared their team post in their story about Eugene passing away. So hopefully everything that happens outside, with the team gets solved. Hopefully his family is all right, and may better days lie ahead for all those involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
So rest in peace, Eugene Melnyk. Never an easy transition from these kind of things, but Scott, should we talk about I'll talk about the Isobel Cup quickly. I want to throw that out. Throw that out there.
No, definitely. Please do.
We're also recording this just after the Boston Pride won the 2022 Isobel Cup in the PHF, the Premier Hockey Federation. Boston defeated the Connecticut Whale 4-2, the final. Fun game. I watched it from beginning to end. Really fun game. The Pride won their third Isobel Cup, their second straight title. They won the tournament last year. Connecticut was the number one team. They had the most points. They just fell short of winning their first Isobel Cup, but the Pride take it. Kudos to Katie Burt, goaltender for the Boston Pride, who I think she made 32, 33 saves on the whole. I don't have the stats right in front of me, but she made over 30 saves. Jillian Dempsey had a really nice goal. She scored the first goal of the game for the Pride. Basically a nice, outside inside move on the defenders, beats the goalie, Abby Ives. Boston then in the third period, they were down 3-2 going into the third. They scored 2 goals in about a minute to go up 3-2. Then they get the empty netter, beat Connecticut. So, kind of a disappointing finish for Connecticut, considering they were leading going into the third and were winning for most of the game. But, that's just how hockey is. You can't always predict these kind of things. And, it was another successful year, I'd say, for the PHF, who they had their finals and their playoffs, I should say, in Florida and Tampa Bay. I don't know if it's official that Montreal is going to be the new expansion team next season in 2022 or the year after, but all in all, a fun season for the PHF. Congratulations to Boston again for winning their third title. And, there's always next year, Connecticut. There's always next year, Toronto, who were the second seed because they had the 46 points in the regular season. Connecticut had 47, so they were the first seed. Scott, anything to add on the PHF in any of the game? No. I just wanted to shout out because we also, before the season, we got to do a cool interview with Megan Barris, who is a forward for the Toronto Six. So I wanted to throw that out there too. I enjoy the PHF, and I would love to do more content for the PHF if we had a team in Vancouver or a team in BC. I know it's not easy to do it right now because they're still in the growing stages of the league, and the furthest team west is Minnesota. Yeah. And it doesn't make a lot of sense for a team to be in Vancouver if the next closest team is Minnesota. But I think there's a lot going on with the women's hockey game right now, and a lot of it is positive. It's heading in the right direction, and we'll see, how that goes with the PHF in the next few years here if they keep expanding. Again, they have a team going to Montreal here in the not too distant future. The growth of women's hockey has been incredible, as evident by the Winter Olympics with the women's hockey game. Games really with Canada, US, particularly the gold medal game. So you can tell that women's hockey is on the rise, and
even like just as simple as NHL. This is a dumb example, but in NHL 22 putting women's players into the video game, that's again something that's very gimmicky, but I think it's such an important step, is that now girls can play as their idols on a video game right back here. And that's, I found, I went, because I got 22 for Christmas, I went and tried. It's actually a lot of fun, and it was really cool seeing players you kind of know. And no, it was, definitely very cool how they all did it, how it all set up.
It's just creating that accessibility, right? Like trying to just get more access and, getting more people interested and getting people familiar with the women's game. I don't even know how many people even knew that the Isobel Cup was happening tonight. But, the fact that it was on ESPN2 in the States, it was on TSN2 here in Canada, it was on ESPN Plus, the main streaming service in the States. I'm sure it was on TSN Go. Just creating that accessibility and creating that interest so that people, can have the opportunity to watch, I think is really important and really exciting. It's like there's only, room to grow. It can only get bigger. It can only get better. And having games like this really help and are really important. So,
absolutely.
Well done to the PHF. Best of luck in, over the off season. We'll see again if Montreal comes next season as an expansion team and how that goes. But, well done to everybody involved. Congratulations to the Boston Pride. Tough luck to the Connecticut the Connecticut Whale. It'll just make that next season in 22-23 even more exciting. Speaking of exciting, should we move on to, you want to do some NHL talk here?
Let's do some NHL talk. Yeah.
Okay. I think we should mention we're also doing this Monday after the Chicago Blackhawks blew a 4-0 lead to the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah, that's not good. Is that just like the Blackhawks season, like summed up in one game though, isn't it? Just like you bring in, start really hot, bring in all these players, you're thinking you're going to do great, and this is the result. This is what happens. And it's just been a rough go for the Blackhawks for sure.
I kind of wonder if we talked a little bit about it before we hit record, but these are two teams who are like kind of trending in opposite directions, where the Sabres feel like they're at least heading up and like there's momentum, and like for all the shit that was going on with the Jack Eichel deal, at least now people are starting to like, at least within the organization, it's like,
Yeah.
we know we're not great, but we can beat these guys.
Yeah.
Where Chicago, it's like, we don't know that we're that great. We don't know that we can beat these guys. And it fell apart.
They're kind of falling off. I mean, they've had a great, they had a great 2010s decade with their dynasty, if you will. And yeah, you couldn't have said it better. Like, Buffalo's on their way up. You know, Cousins is in there. Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen's really good. Peyton Krebs, who they got for Jack Eichel, and Alex Thomas. Shout out Alex Tuch's been really good for that team. But yeah, I mean, I talked about this before podcast, but they're 6-2-2 in their last 10 games. The Sabres are. So again, they're not going to make the playoffs in their division, but they're still on the up, which is encouraging for Buffalo fans.
Yeah, and I, the other guy I feel like we should mention is Tage Thompson,
Yes,
who somehow scored his 28th goal of the season this year.
Very quiet, very sneaky 28 goals.
Like you said, he's going to get 30 this year somehow.
Yeah.
Like we all predicted Tage Thompson's going to be a 30-goal scorer. Just move him to center and he's fine. I'm amazed by it. I kind of wonder with the Sabres because I think that's the main story. I guess the two main stories out of this. I think the big one has to be the Sabres. I think that they got this Eichel monkey off their back and they don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah.
I think this is a
fresh start, clean slate.
Yeah, and they can go and do their own thing. They don't have to worry about it. And there's going to be people who don't like the Eichel deal or don't think they got enough for him or whatever. But, as it stands, the Sabres could be getting a lottery pick from Vegas.
Yeah, true.
They have a player who wants to be there, and Alex Tuch.
Is good. Let's keep this in mind. Alex Tuch is a good hockey player.
Top 6 forward in the NHL.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah.
And they have a young kid that they can build around, maybe not to the same extent of Jack Eichel, but a young core guy in Peyton Krebs.
Yeah. Peyton Krebs in his draft year probably should have gone top 10 had he not blown out his knee.
Yeah.
Let's keep that.
And all of those, I know they haven't made the draft pick yet, but all three of those pieces, all three of those assets are things that the Buffalo Sabres can go to their fans and say, hey, here are 3 guys or here are 3 people that we think you are going to be interested in, and you should come and watch these 3 people.
Agreed. Yeah, definitely.
And that also goes along the lines with Rasmus Dahlin, former first overall pick, who struggled a bit this year, but I still think is a quality NHL defenseman.
Yep, agreed.
Ukko-Pekka, you said his name and I totally...
Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, the goalie.
Luukkonen.
Goalie prospect, yeah.
Goalie prospect. I don't know if he's the goalie of the future yet. I don't know if he's going to be like starting 40 games anytime soon. But at least he's a goalie where the fans, you can say to the fans, hey, another guy you should be really interested in watching and that you should be coming out to see.
Yep.
Like, if you look at I'm not going to include Detroit, but like if you look at the bottom 5 teams in the East here of Buffalo, Philly, New Jersey, Ottawa, Montreal. I proposed it to you a few weeks ago about which is the most desirable GM job of Buffalo, Ottawa, Montreal. And we both kind of came to the consensus of Buffalo.
Yeah.
And I still feel that same way looking at the bottom 5 teams in the East.
I agree. Even if you and the pool of teams. Yeah, I'd make an argument for New Jersey because I think they have some exciting pieces, but they just can't make it work. And Jack Hughes, like when you have a guy like Jack Hughes on your team, you gotta really consider that as if you're in a hypothetical situation, if you're coming in. But no, to your point, we talked about Buffalo as being kind of a exciting team, and it's funny you've talked about all these guys and you haven't even mentioned Owen Power yet.
Owen Power, who's on his way.
Who's well on his way. He's going to be a stud next year.
If he doesn't play for the Sabres this year, because I believe he's on his way to the Final Four.
Right.
It's kind of like a Matthew Knives thing with with Minnesota,
Yeah.
where Knives isn't going to play for Toronto yet because Minnesota's in the Final Four. But like, you know, the Sabres have Owen Power on the way. You know, they have Dylan Cousins.
Yeah.
Another
already there, but very good player.
Who's already there. Another young, talented player.
Yeah.
You know, JJ Peterka.
Yeah, very key. Played so good in the World Juniors that year, 2021, I think it was.
Jack Quinn. Like, there's like, I'm just going off, like, naming off some guys, but it's like, and I'm not saying the Sabres are on their way to being a cup contender anytime soon.
No.
But in terms of just like doing a rebuild, in terms of just having a fresh start and getting away from the whole Eichel thing, I really like where the Sabres are going, and I'm keen on them here in the next few years.
Yeah, and again, Darlene's going to play such a key role on that team because again, he's kind of becoming a veteran at this point. And he's only like 22 years old, but he's a vet. Let's be real, he's a veteran at this point, or he's going to be 22 this year because he's a 2000 birthday. But he's such a quality defenseman, and if he's only going to get better again once he gets some more steady players around him. He's going to have less pressure on him to perform. He can kind of let his offensive game run wild, which we know based on his clips from junior, he's nuts on the puck. He's ridiculous. So it's going to be, fun to watch.
The Blackhawks, we kind of know where things are going with the Blackhawks, I feel like. And, you know, I think Chicago is going to be one of many, I don't know about many, but one of a few teams who is going to just tear it down this summer. Like, this is the summer if you're Chicago. You move on from Taves, you move on from Kane.
Do you think they trade them? Do you think one of who would you trade, Taves or Kane?
Maybe both.
Really?
If you're
one of them.
If you're really gonna do this rebuild, because here's the thing.
Yeah.
You can't really move on from Seth Jones.
Nope, not yet.
Not yet. You can move on, I think, from Taves and Kane. As much as that's going to be a hard pill to swallow, I think you can still get quite a bit for Patty Kane, especially if you want to do the 50% salary retention.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, I think
here's my counter argument to it. I don't know if it's one of those things is that you're gonna get more for Kane, but as putting people in their seats in Chicago, again, Chicago doesn't really have issues with putting people in their seats because it's Chicago. But the point is, like, are you really gonna trade Patrick Kane, who is an absolute legend in that town, has brought this town 3 cups? Right? That's kind of, it's, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if I'm Chicago Blackhawks GM, I don't know if I'm comfortable doing this.
I think here's the thing. I think Kyle Davidson is so new to the team.
Yeah.
I think he can just say, I need to trade these guys to get a fresh start to really do this rebuild properly.
I feel like the only way that they're gone is if they actually ask for a trade, or they say to management, they're like, you know what, I want to go for another cup. Send me to a team that's going to win a cup, kind of thing.
Well, but I think at the same time too, you can if they say that we don't want to be a part of the rebuild, or this rebuild stinks, but it's like, no, you can just move on from them then.
That was my point. That's what I'm getting at. It's like,
yeah,
like if they want out, they want out. Like, it's not going to be like.
But I also think they're not going to explicitly say they want out. They're just gonna be like, well, it sucks losing, but, and it's like, okay, well, you're either with it or you're not.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think that's a very good point. And again, I mean, yeah, Anaheim kind of has an issue with Ryan Getzlaf too. It's like, do you move him, because he's a very valuable asset to teams, especially as you can take a really elite third line center, can play power play, right? So, I don't know. It's a tough call. Personally, I wouldn't trade Kaner. I'd maybe get rid of Taves.
I'd move on from both. I think you can get away with moving on from both. And I think it's time to rip off here's the thing. The Blackhawks as a whole just need to get away from anything that stenches of that first Stanley Cup team and the whole Kyle Beach thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
They need to get
almost clean house.
They need to and I know you can't do that entirely because the owner is still there.
Yeah.
Rocky Wirtz is still there, so you can't really do it entirely. But everything else, from an organizational standpoint, you need to you need to rip that Band-Aid off, and you need to get away from anything that smells like that 2010 team. You need to get rid of anything that closely resembles that.
Bring a cup, there was a toxic environment culture that kind of came with it, with the Kyle Beach situation.
Yeah.
Which was, I mean, as we talked about in several podcasts prior, very problematic. And again, but yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, it's almost time to clean house and just like literally blow it up in a way.
Yeah. You and that's where, if you're Kyle Davidson, you're just like, yeah, this is what we need to do as an organization, as a team. This is what we need to do. And it's like, all right, I don't blame you. Go for it. Do it.
Fair enough.
You want to do a little bit of a late trade deadline reaction? Rav and I kind of did a bit on Sunday night, but if you had any more thoughts that you wanted to share on your Anaheim Ducks were pretty active, so we didn't really talk about the Anaheim moves too much. If you want to,
just gives me some free roam. Cool. I do want to say, not Anaheim related, I do not like the Tyler Motte trade. I think the Canucks fucked that big time. I think Tyler Motte is a huge fan favorite. And in this household in Kelowna, he's a big fan favorite. Canucks fan or not, there's three of us in here. One of them is a Canucks fan, but we all love Tyler Motte. I think they fucked that one up big time. I mean, props to New York for getting him out of Vancouver, but I don't like the move on Vancouver's part. I would have said no to that. But that's just me, maybe.
I don't know how much more you're going to get for him. Which at the same time, I guess you can also make the argument then just keep him.
Yeah, that's my point. I mean, like, again, Tyler, man, I just love his game. Maybe this is just me, but I love his game. He's such a fan favorite, like a really good penalty kill guy, really good kind of, he can put, can score for you. He's got some wheels. I just like his game. He's a good hockey player. And I think he was a good part of Vancouver's, like, maybe not success, but like, he was a good teammate and a good guy on that team for several years. And I just think it's too bad they got rid of him.
With that move, it's the end of Motte Girl summer in Vancouver, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Tyler Boss going
Tyler
to New
Boss,
York.
Yeah. He's Tyler Boss no more in Vancouver.
Not in Vancouver, anyways.
Yeah. Maybe it'll be Tyler Boss in New York, and they'll help with Shesterkin putting up a .00 goals against average in the playoffs. Maybe they'll win the cup. I don't know. Maybe they'll beat Carolina and Tampa. Who knows?
Anyway. It's kind of like, to make it about myself. It's kind of like the Vlad Nemestikov trade.
Okay.
Where it's kind of like the there's people who are thinking that Vlad Nemestikov was worth more than a 4th round pick. And it's like I don't know, is there really, how many GMs are really making that trade, like for a 3rd or a 2nd for a Tyler Motte or Vladislav Nemestikov? Like, I just feel it
depends how desperate the team is to offload salary. That's part of it too, right? It's like, teams know what each team has in terms of cap space. So if, let's say, in your case, Detroit's got a lot of cap space, but like for like Vancouver, like the Rangers have a lot of cap space for a contending team. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think
they have a lot of buyout space, or a lot of space taken up with buyouts, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but in terms of actual cap space, they have like a decent amount compared to other teams. Like,
yeah, they have a fair bit.
Yeah, compared to like a $400,000 Vegas team. But we'll chat about that later.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, it's interesting how that all works and what teams will do, and like, again, we'll talk. I mean, you want me to get into Anaheim trades? We'll talk about that Ryan Kessler contract trade with Dadonov and that getting canceled. So, but yeah, my Ducks were successful at the deadline. I'm sure people have seen Raquel, Lindholm, and Manson are all gone for a plethora. That's a new word of the day of second round picks, a first round pick, and what's his name? The defenseman. I forgot. It's
The Juho
yeah, Vakanainen. That's the one, or something.
Vakanainen.
Yeah, something like that. Bruins defense prospect now in Anaheim. Very excited to see him, and also Drew Allison, who now that's 5. So that is 5 players from that 2021 World Junior team that won gold for the Americans that are Ducks prospects. So the future is bright in Anaheim.
You can say that Anaheim has a type.
Yeah. 2000, 2001, 2002 born American players with swagger, I guess, is their type. Yes.
It's kind of my type too.
Well, then there's like OHL guys like Drysdale, McTavish.
So okay, so they have 2 types then. It's either hot OHL boys or hot American boys.
Or hot boys that play in America, like Olin.
Hot boys that play in America. Okay.
There you go. I guess they have it. Yeah. Never thought of it that way, but
well, like with like everybody has biases isn't the right. Everybody has types, right? Everybody has like
preferences. I think
preferences is the right.
Yeah.
So we know what Anaheim's preferences are.
Yeah, drafting good players that can contribute to it. I mean, well, hey, let's just say the Hockey News rated Anaheim as the #1 prospect pool in the NHL going into this offseason. So that's something.
Well, that also includes, Everett's Olin Zellweger.
Yeah, exactly. Lucas Dostal, who's a goalie as well.
Who?
Lucas Dostal.
Yes, him. I feel like he's been in their prospect pool for like the last 5 years.
Goalies usually are.
No, but that's just how old I feel. Just like I've heard Lucas Dostal for like so long, and it's like, oh yeah, that's right.
No, that's true.
Yeah, okay. Is there any other moves you like, didn't like, really had a disdain for?
Andrew Kopp. Well, okay. Yeah, I like the Andrew Kopp trade. I like that was a good one. The trade to New York. The Rangers did load up, which is good. I think.
They replaced their bottom line from AHL players to like NHL players.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, that's funny actually.
More
or less, which is good. Not make the obvious, but the Giroux trade I like that one as well.
Yeah.
That was okay. Obviously a good deal. I
should ask, like, are you disappointed that you didn't get Evgeny Dadonov, or like,
no?
Are you kind of content with how that played out?
I'm okay with that, but again, we would have gotten another second round pick out of that if not for the shit that happened. I'm not indifferent. Like, it doesn't really matter, and like Kessler coming off the books anyways this year, so it's not really that big of an issue to me. I don't know.
It feels weird having Anaheim on your no trade list.
Yeah, why wouldn't you want to play in Southern California?
Well, there's some people I was talking. I was chatting with some people about this, about how, Anaheim as an organization maybe didn't have the best reputation, considering Bob Murray was their GM and anything that might have happened throughout that time. Yeah. So maybe things are different now.
I think things are different now, but I do like Pat Verbeek as well as the GM, but that's separate. I think another consideration with the whole Dadonov thing is that there aren't any Russians on the Ducks roster, which again may play a role, may not, because again, if you're the only Russian on a team, then it might be kind of difficult for you to kind of integrate yourself and kind of I don't know. I feel like there's other teams. Like I feel like Dadonov would love to go to like a team like Washington or like Minnesota, maybe where Kaprizov is, or a team like Vegas was a good team with some guys that are real solid, and I don't know, maybe like a more like a contending-ish team versus Anaheim, for example.
I think there's something to be said for, you can only go to the beach and Disneyland so much when you're in Anaheim.
True.
Maybe if, Dadonov, and maybe this is happening and we don't know about it, but if Dadonov went to Anaheim, he would join Max Comtois in his roller hockey that he does. Like,
yeah, true. This is true.
That looks pretty cool. I'd love to take part in that.
Yeah. I will say the one other trade that I really, really liked was the Fleury trade to Minnesota. I think the Wild absolutely stole him out of Chicago.
Can we call him Minnesota Andre Fleury yet?
No, not yet. He's gotta do some stuff in the playoffs for him to get that title. So let's see what he can do in the playoffs, and then we'll talk about that later.
I think so. Hear me out on this, okay?
Yep.
The top 5 Minnesota Wild players of all time. Okay. This list is really easy. Okay.
Is there 1 to 5 or is it like 5?
1 to 5. It's just 1 to 5.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Actually, you could do this in no particular order, but I feel like this is also how it would be 1 to 5.
Sure.
Number 1.
Yep.
Marc-Andre Fleury. This is just in terms of all-time players.
Oh, like all-time players that have played in the roster. So like,
yes.
Although Paul Kariya isn't like the best Duck all time, but like he'd be on that top 5 list. Okay, got it. Okay, yep.
Marc-Andre Fleury. This is kind of like the Kawhi with Toronto thing, where like Kawhi, like one of the best players all time to play for the Raptors, even though he only played 1 year for the Raptors. Okay.
Sure.
Marc-Andre Fleury, number 1.
Okay.
Marian Gaborik, number 2.
Sure.
Kirill Kaprizov, number 3.
Ooh, okay.
I think it's Suter 4.
I have a hard time digesting that one. No.
And then probably Parise 5.
Oh, God. No, I'm shocked Mikko Koivu was not in this conversation.
Mikko Koivu is like an honorable mention. If not, he should be ahead of like Parise. But like, like I can name all 5 like top Wild all time, like right off bat with this trade.
To be fair, the franchise has been around as long as we have on this planet. So like
Fleury is the first all-star to ever, like, not all-star, excuse me. Fleury is the first Hall of Famer to ever play for the Wild.
Yeah, because Mikko Koivu's not going to the Hall. Yeah, you're right. And Parise and Suter are like borderline. If
maybe, probably not. Suter needs to do like something else to get in. But I think, and I'm still on the take of like last year was the greatest season in Minnesota Wild history. They pushed Vegas to 7 games. Kaprizov was awesome. They had those nice reverse retro North Star throwback jerseys.
Yeah, those are so nasty.
That's why the Wild's best season ever was last season.
They might top it this year. We'll see.
They might. But that's I think the list. You're probably right with Koivu over Parise, but those are the top 5 Minnesota Wild players of all time.
I like it, and I do like that. The Fleury trade is really good. That was kind of the point of that story. But Fleury did get stolen out of Chicago by Minnesota, and good for them for doing it.
I mean, if you're Minnesota, why not?
I think you got to do it just to shore up your goaltending. And again, the team's good enough, and also with Minnesota, Tyson Jost.
Former Penticton B Tyson Jost.
Tyson Jost, exactly. He is now in Minnesota for Nico Sturm. I think that's a great thing for Tyson Jost. I think the Wild win that trade too.
Yeah, probably. I think it's kind of I mean, the Wild probably win that because they get the better player. Yep. But I think because of the cap implications for the Avalanche, I think it's probably a wash too. So
yeah, no, that's fair. But Minnesota had a good deadline. Anaheim had a good deadline. New York had a good deadline too.
And we were talking about this last night, Rav and I, with Minnesota, about how Minnesota was kind of falling off for a while there, and now all of a sudden they're back on it.
Yep.
Like Like they're now 8-1-1 in their last 10, second in the Central.
It's pretty good. They're let's be real. They're probably going to see St. Louis in the first round, which is going to be one hell of a playoff series.
Yeah, I can't wait to see how that goes.
Well, it's unfortunate because they're going to beat the shit out of each other, and then they're going to lose the Avalanche in 5 games. That's so. We'll see how it goes, but
that's all fair. I feel like we should also talk a bit about the Battle of Alberta that happened this past weekend, where the Flames went Dolly Parton on the Oilers and won 9-5.
Yeah, it felt like a 1980s game.
Yeah, except the Oilers were on the wrong end of it.
Yeah, true. And Gretzky McDavid didn't have 5 points. Sorry.
No, but Draisaitl pretty much did. And, I think here's the thing. That game, there's nothing about that. I didn't watch it, but there's nothing about that game. I did get to see some of the highlights. Nothing about that game that surprised me. Flames top line, probably the best first line in hockey right now.
Right now they are good. Goodrow was electric. I watched the game. I watched the game. Goodrow was electric. He was
Goodrow and like Kachuk was everywhere. Like Matthew Kachuk was pretty much everywhere, it seemed like. Yep. The Oilers on the back end stink with their defense and their goaltending. Both are bad.
Yep, both are bad.
No other way to put it. And, you got to ask the question, what would McDavid and Draisaitl look like on a good team?
Oh, they'd be again, you can't really trade McDavid for McKinnon, but like McDavid on the Avalanche would be an absolute joke.
Trade McKinnon to Toronto for JT and a bunch of assets. Who says no?
For Tavares. Yeah. I'm gonna say no. McKinnon's way too valuable, and he's gonna probably be lifting cup this summer, but we'll see.
This Oilers team sucks. They are still on pace to make the playoffs, unfortunately.
No, they'll make the playoffs.
Which is too bad.
For all the flack that the Oilers get, they're not a horrible team.
They're an extremely flawed team.
Oh, absolutely. That's you're absolutely right about that. But again, let's look at Koskinen's numbers aren't horrible. I want to make that very clear. You're right, their goaltending sucks, but Koskinen, if you look at Koskinen's numbers right now, they're not horrible.
Can I make the argument that Stuart Skinner should be the team's #1 goalie going into the playoffs?
I think you should too, but they're just not going to do it.
No, they aren't. This team traded assets for Brett Kulak to get his ass beat by the Flames on Saturday night.
Oh yeah, Kulak was not very good. I'll tell you that for free.
Same sort of deal with the Panthers, who traded a second-round pick for Ben Sherratt to have his ass get beat by JT multiple times on Sunday against the Leafs.
Yeah, Sherratt was
Again, I don't know if I'm gonna hammer the Calgary St. Louis Western Conference Final like I kind of was for a bit there, only because like Colorado's looking really fucking good right now.
Oh, they're looking so good. I think Landeskog's still out.
Yeah.
They're ridiculous. I don't know how. We've talked about this before. I don't know how you beat them.
Well, I think you can also make the same argument with Calgary, where like Calgary has the best top line in hockey, a really good goaltender, really strong defense. Even their forward depth, they improved on their forward depth. Like they traded for Calle Jarnkrok.
Oh, their top 3 lines are kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's nice. And Jarnkrok is such a versatile, like utility 2-way guy that they kind of stole. And again, now this is a factor, like the whole personal factor. Lindholm and Jarnkrok are buddies. And then now there's like 7 Swedes on that team. So they're all super close. I think he was a great add. And let's not forget about Toffoli too. Toffoli's been kind of nice on that team.
I watched the highlights of that game, and like obviously I saw the top line doing really well. And then like they mentioned a few times, like here's Toffoli streaking down the wing. It's like, oh fuck, right. Tyler Toffoli's on this team. This guy's also really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a very, I will say, the game lived up to expectations. It was fun to watch throughout.
The Calgary has the best goal differential in the Western Conference at plus 71.
Pretty good. That's very good, actually.
And they're only bested by Florida.
Not bad.
So Calgary's really good. Another team I gotta give a quick shout out to are the LA Kings.
Yep.
Because I've kind of been riding this like Kings hype train a little bit, like at least more in the off season.
It's a trash hockey club, but they're doing well this year. I'll give you that.
They're better than your team. Your team stinks right now.
Yeah, they're
and this is coming from the guy who saw his team lose 11-2 to Pittsburgh on Sunday. Our team stink.
But you know what? We're gonna really enjoy the draft lottery again this year because both the teams will be in it again. So
great. LA. I don't know who LA will play in the first round. It's looking like either Edmonton, Vegas, or Dallas. And they probably beat Edmonton. They probably beat Dallas. Vegas, I'm a little bit concerned. A Vegas rematch is going to be like in 2018, where Vegas
people are sleeping on Vegas too much. I think they're going to destroy some teams when they get into the playoffs. If they get in, they're going to win a round. I don't care what.
All right.
Yeah.
That's kind of the West. Like Rav and I said, the East is pretty well set. Kyle Connor is also a really good hockey player who will be scoring 50 goals this year. In case you don't know, Scott and I had a bet that Kyle Connor will score 50 goals this year. I said he will, and I'm on the verge of getting $10.
No, he still needs 9 goals, and he needs to win a gold medal. No, I'm just kidding. We'll avoid that one. But
so he needs to get 9 goals in the next 15 games?
Yeah, that sounds right.
I say he does it.
I don't think he does it. Not a chance.
When he is where is it?
Not here, a chance.
Where he is getting 0.61 goals per game. He's on pace for 50. It's coming down to the wire. This is actually
it's gonna come down. Yeah. This is very exciting. I might have to start paying attention to Jets games, even though they're kind of they're still kind of in it.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah, bring it.
Last week I was when the March Madness games were on commercial, I was watching the Jets play the Senators like an absolute psycho.
Yeah, why would you do that? That's terrible.
Because it was the only other thing on sports-wise.
Okay. Sure.
And not gonna lie, I liked the Senators uniforms, and that was about it in that game. I think the Senators scored like 3 goals in 5 minutes. And I was like, all right, well, this game's over.
Were the Sens at home?
No, they were in Winnipeg.
Oh, they're white. You like their white jerseys. Wow.
Mm-hmm. I like the 2D logo. I like that they went back to the 2D logo.
Oh, I agree with you. The black jerseys, the Sens black jerseys are sick. I actually do like them.
Yep.
And some of their players are good, but yeah, Kyle Connor will not score 50 goals this year. I'm damn sure about it.
I say he does it. Okay. Is there anything else NHL wise hockey wise that you wanted to discuss? Because
let's just say the West is an absolute logjam for playoffs, which is fun, which is really fun actually. So it's gonna be what we'll say: Oilers, Predators, Golden Knights, Stars, Jets, and Canucks all fighting for like 3 spots.
I'm thinking that it's probably going to be Edmonton and Vegas who makes it.
Yeah, I do see that. Yeah, I agree.
I kind of think Vancouver is like the other team who can make it out instead of I know their math does not work well, but like,
It
and
doesn't.
they
But
lost
they
tonight
have
to
an
St.
easy
Louis.
schedule. They have an easy schedule, which helps. Sort of.
Vancouver is a frustrating team because they should be better than what they are.
Yeah, tell my roommate over here. Yeah, you can talk about frustrating. It's been a very up and down year for that club, that's for sure.
Well, we always talk about the Canucks, so we're not gonna. I think one podcast we're just gonna talk about everybody except Edmonton, Vancouver, Toronto. We'll just talk about
Anaheim.
Winnipeg.
Yeah.
And well, we talk too much about Anaheim, Detroit. One podcast, we're just gonna talk about like Ottawa, Winnipeg, and like
We don't
Calgary
talk
too,
about Calgary enough for how good they are. Let's be real.
and the Coyotes.
No, we don't need to talk about the Coyotes. No, we don't.
The Kraken.
Get this. I'd rather talk about Seattle than the Coyotes. And like I'd rather talk about the Kraken than the Sharks. I can for sure. The Sharks are like way at the bottom. I fucking hate the Sharks, but and the Kings too. They can.
I think that's the most. I think that's the most. You know, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't think anybody's ever had that hardcore of an opinion on the Sharks ever, and you're just like, I fucking hate the Sharks.
No, they're terrible. Terrible hockey club.
We do have one mailbag question.
Ooh.
And mostly because I meant to do this I originally had it scheduled for Rav when Rav and I were gonna pod, but it's a baseball question, and Rav's like, you should do it with Scott. So I'm making you talk about baseball for like 5 minutes. So like,
nice.
You're welcome. I know how much you love that.
Oh,
friend of the pod, Aiden, asked, I should get the official question here, but I believe he asked something along the lines of which teams are going to be good in baseball this year.
You know what? That's actually a relevant question.
Best team in baseball this year is the official question.
Ooh.
I think it's the Dodgers.
Okay.
The Dodgers, but the Dodgers are kind of the chalk pick though.
Right.
So I'd say probably the Dodgers. You know, the Dodgers and the Yankees always seem to find a way to be competitive. Houston's probably going to be good again this year.
Yep. I agree with that. Again, I think here's another thing. Dodgers, Yankees, Astros, those have been teams that have been good for years now. And they, like you said, they always find a way to be good. The White Sox, kind of a dark sleeper team that are going to be good. The Blue Jays are kind of sick, assuming that their starting rotation can kind of do what they did last year.
Kind of just assuming that everything, like, I think the Blue Jays are probably going to be better this year, just purely on the fact that they're home all year. Like, they don't have to worry about playing in Buffalo or Dunedin.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Like some familiarity with the ballpark, and I really like the Matt Chapman signing. I think that's a huge pickup. And again, remember the last time we picked up an Athletics third baseman?
Third base, yeah. And I mean, like, with how that team is, there's going to be so many dingers hit at the Rogers Center this summer.
Oh, it's going to be an absolute, be like beach ball hit out of the park. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I feel like this team is destined to do well just purely based on the fact, A, they're at home all summer. B, they're going to hit Vladdy's probably going to hit 40 home runs this year.
Yeah. Yep. I believe it.
And like you say, if their rotation can hold up, because we know the hitting should be good. If the rotation can hold up, they're probably in a good chance. The other thing with the Blue Jays too, I wonder how Charlie Montoya is at managing, like, because now this is his fourth season with the team.
I think it's third. No, fourth. You're right. Last year was his third. This is fourth.
Fourth, and like every time I watch the Jays, I'm not baffled, but like slightly confused at like some of the like moves that Montoya makes with like getting guys out of the bullpen or like throwing a guy in the pinch hit. And it's like, if you can clean up like 30% of those moves, you have that.
agreed.
You have that much more of a chance of making the playoff, or
Jays-
even just being the best team in
The
baseball.
Jays are one of the most talented teams in the MLB without a doubt. I also want to talk about. There's two other teams that are kind of like slept on a lot, and that's the Atlanta Braves and the Tampa Bay Rays are two teams that I think for me are going to be, or well, frankly, slept on every single year. But especially Tampa Bay gets slept on every year, and they somehow find a way to be good, even considering their payroll being so small. But I think the Braves. I mean, because Freeman's now in. Where's he now? Because Freeman's gone.
Yeah, Freeman moved, and he is currently playing
I think St. Louis.
Dodgers.
No, you're right. It is the Dodgers.
Like that's the thing. The Dodgers lineup is so ridiculously stacked. It's not fair. But
It's not fair. No.
But you mentioned. I was gonna say you mentioned the Braves. Like they literally just won the World Series in November. Like they literally just won it like 6 months ago.
Yeah, and we this is the last team we're gonna talk about. Like, yeah, there's again baseball. Like again, as unexciting as it is, there are some very exciting teams, and the talent is so good, especially with that top tier of teams. And again, I mean, it'll be fun to watch the Blue Jays this summer because they are gonna be fun to watch. There's no arguing with that.
The AL East is like stacked this year.
It's stacked.
Like
those
even
are gonna get lit up.
Well, they don't really care. They're not trying to win. But
you know that, but
even like the Red Sox, like they have like a few pieces that I like between like Verdugo, Kike Hernandez. Like there's some like, you know, I don't know if Chris Sale is officially coming back yet. I don't know if he's 100% healthy. But even so, Red Sox have a few decent pieces, and they're probably going to finish fourth this year. They look like they're in that division. They look like they're going to finish fourth purely because of the fact that the Blue Jays, Yankees, and Rays are going to be better than all of them, or are going to be better than the Red Sox this year.
Yeah, true. So they go in. There's like 7 or 8 teams there that are fun to watch. Yeah.
Who do the not as exciting but just as hilarious question? Who do we think is the worst team in baseball is going to be?
Well, I think it's Baltimore.
Is it Baltimore? I think you got option for Oakland.
Okay, the Athletics. Yep.
I think you can throw in Oakland. I think you could throw in Baltimore. I think you could throw in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, even Arizona, maybe.
Arizona.
I don't think the NL West, outside of the Dodgers and Giants, isn't really that good.
No, but that's where I think like the AL West is. Like you'll have Houston, you'll have Seattle. I want to say the Angels, but like fucking the Angels have Mike Trout and Shohei Ohtani, and they're going to struggle to get 75, 80 wins this year somehow.
Yeah. Somehow, yeah. With that much, okay, again, baseball is such a, you got to use your whole team sport. Like you can't rely on 2 hitters / pitcher and Ohtani. But like, yeah, it's a very, I feel bad for Mike Trout. Like he's been on such a mediocre team his whole career, and he's just such not a mediocre player. He's such a talent. It's ridiculous.
Mike Trout is probably the greatest baseball player I've ever seen in my entire life.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And
kind of like McDavid in a way. Like,
yeah,
he's played on such a well. Let's say
no. You can say that the Oilers suck. You can say it, Scott. Don't be afraid to say that the Oilers suck.
No, the Oilers have just been mediocre. I wouldn't say they suck because they made the playoffs most years. They just can't get past the first round. That's their problem. But the Angels can't even get into the playoffs. That's kind of where I'm getting at with that, right? So yeah,
there you go. We talked about the best teams. We talked about the worst teams.
Yes.
We'll see if there's more baseball to come. Do you know, on a scale of 1 to 10, I am like at a 25 of excited to go back to the ballpark, go to a game in Seattle this year, go back to T-Mobile. I am like
a scale of 1 to 10. You were 25. You're wearing the Mariners jersey already. I remember when you bought that. You bought a Sport Check in Vancouver, Robson.
That was like the beginning of COVID too.
Like June. Yeah, dude. Fuck, I forgot about that. That's right.
Beginning of COVID, as if like
as if it's still going. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm looking. I am actively looking at dates to go to the ballpark.
There you go. Might have to join you.
You should. We'll do a weekend of Silvertips playoffs, Mariners baseball.
Mariners. Do the
Mariners.
playoffs even go that long? I guess they might.
Our playoffs start late April. Like we have another month until about the playoffs.
Oh shit! Oh yeah, right. Because might go to the Rockets game April 16th against the Cougars.
Battle for a playoff spot for PG.
Oh, interesting. Are the Rockets out of it?
No, they clinched the spot. The WHL Western Conference is very top heavy. Like you're either good or you're
not. Yeah, like what? Everett's good. The Blazers are good.
It's Everett, Portland, Seattle, Kamloops, Kelowna. Good teams. I think they've all clinched playoff spots now.
Right.
So like five teams have
like a bunch of teams fighting for.
And then there's like a 20-point difference between like Prince George, Vancouver, from like Kelowna. Not even Everett. Like Kelowna, a 5th seed. There's like a 20-point gap between like Vancouver, Prince George, Spoke, Victoria.
Holy shit. That's
like
crazy.
Like you're either good or you're not.
The Giants were good. Like,
they fell off hard.
Well, because they traded sort of, which I think was dumb. That was dumb because there's the playoff race, I think. But
I think so too. But I think they also just like, hey, let's just get a bunch of assets for them too.
They're also the Vancouver Giants. They consistently turn out decent teams every year. So,
well, and not for nothing, it's not that hard to make the playoffs every year.
No, that's true.
That's in the dub. The interesting thing this year is that we're going back to a 1v8, 2v7, 3v6, etc.
Oh, that's good. It's about fucking time.
Instead of the weird divisional thing that the NHL is still doing. But
no, I like that. That's gonna assuming Kamloops Kelowna are 4 and 5, that can be one hell of a playoff.
No, I think we did the math. It's looking like Seattle Kelowna.
Okay.
Like the 4-5, which is still gonna be like that's gonna be a tough.
That's a tough go for the Rockets.
It is. But Seattle's that good.
Sure.
I think Portland would play Van.
Ooh.
And like
that's not an easy game or easy series for Portland.
No, it isn't. Like Van still has like a bunch of top guys, like not top guys, but like quality players like Fabian Lysell.
Fabian Lysel's pretty good, yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see how Lysell and the rest of the Giants do, but we still have what 3 more weeks of regular season action.
Cool. Looking forward to it.
In with the Everett Silvertips. Yeah. Scott, any other final things? Anything you want to end on? How is the KJR? This is my ending. I like doing this as an ending. How is the KJRHL going for you?
The KJRHL is very good. The regular season is over, so that's exciting. We have playoffs starting April 3rd, so that's next week.
Ooh.
It'll be great. We've got Team Blue is gonna play Team Red in the first semifinal, and then Green's gonna play Orange in the next semifinal. And we've got longer ice times, and they're not late at night; they're midday. So we had an ice time change. So the games for the next 2 weekends are gonna start. One of them's at 1 p.m. and the other is at 2:30. So we get like favorable ice times. Thank goodness.
Who do you think that benefits the most?
What team?
Ooh. Yes.
It's actually
this is really just a question of like, who do we think plays better sober?
Well, again, all the games are Sunday night, so everyone's relatively sober. But it's going to be a matter of who.
But you said this starts at 1:30
p.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the afternoon. Are guys still like Are you still day drinking for this at 1:30?
Well, no, but again, think about the effects of fatigue having to go to a game late Sunday night versus midday Sunday. The actual consideration now is, will guys still be hungover from the night before coming to hockey? That's the real consideration. Let's not forget. Remember, this is beer league, and guys are going out Saturday night to play Sunday instead of now Sunday night, so they have the whole day to recover. So now it's different. So now you got to figure out, okay, like what team's going to be the least hungover from the night before, because now the time to recover is less. It's about 10 hours less. So
A shorter turnaround time is what I'm
yeah,
hearing.
exactly. So I don't know. Team Blue did finish first in league standings with a plus 29 goal differential. But again, a lot of those big blowout games were early season, so hard to say what it's going to be. I think, I don't know. It's going to be really interesting because again, this, a different shift in times means that different guys will be able to show up, right? So we'll see what really is going to happen. But
you also shouldn't probably be picking the games because of the fact that you are co-commissioner. There is a little bit of conflict of interest now.
there is, yeah, and I'm also the captain of one of the teams. I'm not gonna mention.
Yeah, I mean, like besides that,
people know I'm the captain of Blue, but yeah, we'll no, it'll be a good playoffs. We got longer ice times. We'll have scorekeepers. We'll have refs, hopefully, like 2 refs, hopefully, which is good. So
ooh,
we won't normally only have 1, so we'll hopefully have 2 for these games. And no, it should be fun. It'll be a good finish to the year, and then we'll be doing it next year too, which is exciting as well. So yeah, big thumbs up to the KGRHL. So
you love
yeah,
to
it's
see
been
it.
fun. It's been a fun year though. So we've done well.
Can we get like Colton Dock or like Pavel Novak or somebody to do like a ceremonial face-off for your championship game?
If they could come play a game for us, I mean, they're like mid-season, so they can't really. But
No, okay, they're not gonna play a game for you, but if you did like some sort of like ceremonial puck drop,
I think you'd have a better chance at getting them to come out than me personally. I don't know the guys personally, and they're also like 3 years younger than me, so or
just
like
a bunch of
years.
kids.
Well, relatively, I'm 21. This like Colton's what, 18?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways,
that's the podcast. Big shout out to Scott for taking the time to come out and do this. I think we'll do this next week. Is next week a holiday?
next week is not a holiday. Easter's later.
Oh, Easter is later this year.
Easter
I
is
totally.
later. It's like end of April. I think it's like the 22nd or 3rd. Is that thing?
18th.
You're right. It is that weekend. Sorry, I was just checking my calendar.
It's weird. It's weird because it's got like that's a weekend of rugby sevens. So Scott and I will probably be back next week. We'll probably have more to talk about next week.
Probably. The April 11th week is definitely a no. I've got like hella school. That time, so like Monday, like the 4th will probably be like the last pod we'll do until I'm back in Squamish.
When are you back in Squam?
Early, like end of April. April 28th probably.
Should go to a baseball game.
Potentially. We'll see. We should play golf first, what we should do.
Oh, dude. Do you know like the urge to like since this like weather has gotten nicer, the urge to just, drink beers, golf, get the ball glove out has skyrocketed a dramatic like 400%.
Oh yeah, I believe it.
No, not that I am the best golf player in the world, and golf is my excuse to just go, drink with the guys out on the course.
Oh, absolutely. It's great. Now that COVID's over, we can more or less do whatever we want.
Oh, don't jinx it. Yeah. With that being said, thanks again to Scott. You know where to find us. Check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the YouTube channel. You know where to go. And we'll be back next week. I will be in Everett Friday night, April 1st. No, that's not an April Fool's joke. We play Portland again.
It is on April Fool's Day.
It is, but it's no joke. I will be in Everett on April 1st. Until then, check us out. We'll be back again soon. Peace out.